I'm Adam.
I'm Dan.
And we're going to talk about It. Not It Comes at Night.
No.
We already did that. Just good old plain It. I guess the way I'll start this review is maybe by just asking, are you a fan of the original miniseries at all?
I mean, I think you know I am. I'm pretty sure we watched it together at least once.
Yeah, the miniseries, I'm a huge fan of the miniseries, even though the miniseries is not really that good.
No, I mean, it's definitely flawed, but it's just one of those things that has a charm to it. Like, they clearly cared. Like, they were trying to make something good.
Yeah.
But they had a TV budget. But then they also had the presence of mind to cast Tim Curry, which is the greatest move anyone could ever make ever. So you kind of have to love it. It's like required.
Yeah, I mean, I love the original miniseries. I mean, it's a movie that comes. I watch it at least maybe once a year because it comes on at least once a year.
Oh yeah,
Sci-Fi
someone
Channel,
somewhere shows it. Yeah.
Sci-Fi Channel, Spike TV, something shows it at least like once a year, especially around like Halloween time.
Oh yeah.
In fact, it was just on like just a week ago. It was on Sci-Fi. I didn't catch the whole thing, but I watched a little bit of it.
Yeah.
But definitely the miniseries, in my opinion, the strengths is the first half, which the first half is mostly about them when they were kids, and then the second half is when they were adults.
Yeah.
Definitely in the miniseries, that first half is the stronger of the bunch.
It's rare that you have any sort of movie or miniseries or anything where like the parts with the kids are better, but yeah, like I agree, it is the more memorable part, and even the acting is better, which is weird to say about kids, but
that's the second part that's kind of more kind of forgettable, and it's the one that like when you watch it today, it really doesn't hold up.
Yeah.
Which good news for this movie is that it's all about the kids.
Yeah.
It just focuses on that part of the story.
Yeah.
So when it comes to the new one, I was gonna say I remember when the trailers first dropped for this, which was like I don't know halfway through the year. I think was when we got like the first teaser trailer or something. I hated it. I hated it with a burning passion, and then when they dropped the second trailer, I hated it even more. And the main thing I hate about the movie, which is the first thing I assume we're going to end up talking about the new movie, is the most important aspect, and that was Pennywise. And from when I watched the trailers, the first thing I looked at was Pennywise and realized, holy shit, they don't know how to do this character right. They are trying way too hard to make him a creepy clown, which that's not what made Pennywise creepy.
No.
The thing that made Pennywise creepy was the fact he was just a normal looking clown that just happened to be evil.
Yeah.
His outfit is very like I don't know how to put it, like maybe like very early like 19th century type of look.
It's very like old not
school,
not quite Harlequin, but like it's old school clown, like old like glory days of the circus clown.
Kinda. I was gonna even say it's more like opera clown. Like
kinda, yeah.
He's done it. It's not the clown that it's not Bozo that that pops you out. It's more Pagliacci actually.
Yeah.
His design, and that's the whole thing is that throws you off, and then it's like you're looking at it, you're like, well, they're purposely trying to make him look creepy, and like it's not the look that sells Pennywise. It's the performance, and that's a good segue into the first thing I think we're going to talk about when it comes to this new movie is. Does Bill Skarsgård make a good Pennywise?
It's kind of conflicting because there are parts where he pulls off. I mean, he certainly pulls off the menace. Like I'll give him that much. Like I'm actually like I understand why this one would be scary to people more than the original. As much as I love Tim Curry, you love Tim Curry for the energy. He's not actually that scary. But
no.
This one, I understand how he's scary. But as much as I'd like to rate the performance, part of it is less the performance and more the effects they use on him. So I think he does an adequate performance. It's not going to be, it's not going to go down as memorable as Tim Curry, which again, everyone knew going in. It was just never going to happen. But I think he pulls off what the movie was going for. Again, we can disagree whether we like that or whether that's what we wanted. It's definitely what the movie was going for, and I think he pulls that off adequately.
For me, when it comes to his performance, I will say it is much better than I had any anticipation. I anticipated a terrible performance. I did not think he was going to make a good Pennywise. And to my surprise, he's actually not half bad. But the problem is that I honestly think he's doing his best job with what he has to work with. Because when I think of Pennywise from the original with Tim Curry. And, like, everyone knew he wasn't going to top Tim Curry. It's just
Right.
not doable, you know?
Yeah.
That's like fucking bringing in, fucking Justin Bieber and telling him to be Luke Skywalker.
Yeah,
like,
no,
you're never
that's not
going to
gonna
top
happen.
Mark Hamill. Like,
No.
you know, like, it just comes to the territory. It's a remake. You're never going to top the original. You have to accept that, you know?
Mhm.
So it's like, no one, I don't think, ever thought he was going to be better than Tim Curry. But you could at least hope he could at least make the performance his own sort of thing. And for the most part, he does that. But the problem is that they don't give him a lot to work with. And what I mean by that is, like, when I think of Pennywise from the original series, I think of like the moments of him interacting with the kids, especially that scene in the original miniseries when the kids are looking through that photo book and they come across that photo, the photo comes to life, and Pennywise, like, they see him, like, down a street, and then eventually he gets up to, like, where, like, the photo is. He climbs a light pole to talk to him, and he explains to him how, I'm your worst nightmare, I'm what you fear, like, I'm gonna eat you. He gives this whole monologue about essentially who he is in a nutshell. And there's nothing like that in this movie. Other than that, I still say he's a million times better than I thought he was going to end up being, though. And I don't know anything about Bill Skarsgård. I never said anything else. I know nothing about him. So when I first heard that they cast this guy, I was like, I don't know who he is, but I think he actually does an adequate job. But it's just, again, it doesn't top Tim Curry or even match Tim Curry by any means.
No.
Probably, to me, the best part of the whole movie is the kids.
Yeah.
They give, in my opinion, they all give very solid, good performances, and they all have a camaraderie with each other.
Yeah, there's chemistry between them.
Yeah, you believe that they're all friends.
Yeah, like, all the kids give solid performances, and I think that, like, as far as acting goes, all of these kids probably have a future in the business, but the movie suffers from some certain things, some of which is the writing, and some of which is just the fact that it is a movie and not a miniseries. Because the original miniseries, being a miniseries, you have more time. You have more time to build up the characters and more time to meet the characters. And as much, now that's not to say that, I remember them all equally. I certainly don't. But, I remember watching the miniseries, and each kid has their own story arc. They have their own, I don't know if I'd call it a goal, but they have, like, a clear progression of where they're going. And the movie sets it up, and the movie executes it. And you understand it, and you feel for it. Which, again, maybe you don't, remember them down the line, but at least while you're watching the movie, you get it, you feel it, and it does it effectively. This movie wants to do that. It clearly wants to. But being a movie and having less time, it has to focus on a couple of kids. Now, I think Billy was a fine one to focus on. He had an interesting story. And I think the girl was a good one to focus on. Beverly, that's her name. She was a good one to focus on. The problem is that they tried to kind of juggle the other kids and really didn't pull it off. Because, ironically, even though Billy and Beverly are sort of the ones they focus on most, one of the first kids you meet is Mike, which, let's be brutally honest, is the token black kid of the movie.
Yeah.
He's one of the first ones you meet, actually, and they do a good job of setting up what his story is supposed to be. They almost come right out and say it. Basically, you have to be more assertive. You have to, stop just going with the flow and letting other people tell you what to do. You have to make the decisions yourself.
Yeah.
They more or less set that up. It's like, okay, I see where that's going. And you can definitely see, how this story of having to fight the killer clown is going to work into that. And then, I swear upon everything holy, you don't see him for another 30 minutes in the movie, at least. Like, he disappears after that scene. And you don't see him again.
The problem with kids, for me, is that they're all just walking, talking traits.
Yeah.
That's all they are. You don't. There's really only a few that you actually get to know on, like, a certain level, but all the rest are essentially just one trait, essentially. So you got the fat kid, who's also the new kid. So he's actually got two traits going for him. So you got the tomboy, the girl. You got the tomboy. You got the kid who, you got Billy who lost his brother, and he's the stutterer, you know. And essentially kind of the straight man of the movie. Essentially. He's the one who doesn't, beyond those two things, he doesn't really have anything else. He's kind of the straight man. Then you got Richie, who's the goofball, the clown. You know, the fucking, I guess, you'd call him the clown or the comic relief. You got Stan, who's the Jewish kid. That's kind of his only trait in the movie.
It really is.
You don't really get to know anything else about him because that's pretty much about it.
Now, admittedly, he was probably the weakest in the original also, because I don't remember him as much. But I
he's
do remember he was
yeah.
also a Boy Scout in that one.
Yeah.
So he at least had something else going for him, which not only was he a Boy Scout, I think it was him and the...
No, it's just him.
I
mean, at least that was his trait. At least in the miniseries, where he was a Boy Scout.
Yeah.
In this movie, he's Jewish.
Yeah, that's it.
He might have been Jewish in the miniseries,
sure
but that's not what they focused on.
Yeah.
They focused on the idea that he is essentially the Eagle Scout. He's the he's the good guy. He does everything by the books, and stuff like that. Follows the rules. Where in this movie, it's like he's the Jewish kid who's trying to get through his bar mitzvah.
Yeah.
And then there's who's the other kid's name? I'm looking it up. I forget. Eddie. Who's the hypochondriac?
There we go.
And then,
Eddie.
Yeah, and then there's Eddie, who's the hypochondriac, and then you got the lone black kid.
Yeah, and see,
other than that, I guess I'll move on to the most important part of a horror movie, the scares.
Yeah.
I will say that as soon as the movie starts off, when Georgie meets Pennywise, the movie holds fucking no punches back.
No,
it's R-rated, and it's R-rated for a reason, and like. I don't want to sound like a weirdo or a fucking sicko or something, but it's nice when you can see a horror movie that has some balls and will actually kill a kid on screen.
Yeah.
Where, in most horror movies, either the kids always usually survive or they usually die off screen sort of thing.
Yeah.
This fucking movie just is like, nope, fucking, we're going to put it right there, right in front of you. And that scene in the beginning was fucking great to the point where that as soon as that scene happens, that movie I had a smile on my face and I thought to myself, this movie's got potential, and it held my attention.
And see, like that scene with Pennywise in the sewer is like the one time when they actually give him a chance to talk, and to actually be like creepy,
and he worked. And Bill Skarsgård, for the most part, he worked with that. Like it worked a lot. I wasn't, I'm not. Crazy about the fucking, the voice he decided to use sort of thing. Yeah. Because the thing with Tim Curry is it was just Tim Curry's voice.
Yeah.
Tim Curry wasn't doing an accent or anything. He was just doing Tim Curry. And like Bill Skarsgård right off the bat was just doing some kind of weird voice. And the entire time I watched it, I was like, you don't need the voice, dude. Just talk. Be a normal thing, because right off the bat, as soon as he's just like, hey Georgie, like that, it's like
like the
no
thing of it
kid
is,
would
like,
walk up to this.
Like the thing of it is, like, if you're gonna do a voice, do like a clown voice. Be happy, be happy, be bubbly, be goofy. Talk like a clown, because like you said, something like that. Because like you said, like, hey there, Georgie, like that's not a clown. That's the creeper in the alley. He's just trying to abduct you. Like
that's the guy who's gonna ask you want to see a dead body? That's that guy. Like no good comes from following him. As far as the scares go. I will just say this is the type of movie where it unfortunately relies on a lot of jump scares. And here's the thing: there's horror movies where jump scares work, and they need jump scares, okay? And then there's movies where you don't need jump scares, where you rely on atmosphere.
Yeah.
And this is the same complaint I had with Get Out, which is a very good movie.
Yeah.
And I like Get Out. I gave it a positive review. But the one problem with Get Out was that and I feel it kind of suffers from the same thing, is that the moments that are scary aren't scary. They're unsettling.
Yeah.
They're awkward. They're weird. It's a creepy vibe. Okay? But then all of a sudden you get a jump scare for no reason.
Yeah.
It's like, you didn't need the jump scare. That was working. When you do the jump scare now, it just makes it silly. And Get Out also had the same problem where if it didn't give you a jump scare, it just held on to those moments a little too long.
Yeah.
To the point where they weren't creepy, they weren't unsettling anymore. They end up getting drawn out so long that then they just become silly in my head. Unfortunately for this film, that's a lot of the same problems I have. Is that a lot of these scenes start off really good, really unsettling, really creepy. The atmosphere is really good, and either they give you a jump scare or it just lingers on it way too long to the point where now it's just starting to become weird and silly. And the best example I give for that is there's the scene where they're in Billy's garage and they're using the projector, the projector, and it starts doing the whole thing. The scene from the trailer. Everyone's seen it from the trailer. Okay. Well, what you don't see is that after when it reveals Pennywise, the projector knocks over, and then still projects a Pennywise on the screen, but then Pennywise comes out of the fucking screen and fucking is a giant Pennywise in your house, okay? And that alone was creepy because he had the sharp teeth. He was like, like going after the kids. That alone was creepy. But they just had it for about 10 to 15 seconds too long to the point where then he started talking and it became stupid.
Like, that is a problem with the movie. And I will say, because there's a lot of times, and it's times like those when, like, he's appearing in front of everyone, but, like, they're all in a room. And, like, realistically, like, you know, their choices are run or get eaten. But, like, he'll stand there and he'll taunt them. It's like you said, like, you know, where he starts talking when he doesn't need to. And it's like, I almost don't really feel like they're in danger. And the garage scene is a good example of that, because...
Just remember when we were talking about that, one of the problems I had with the movie was in the miniseries, okay, and I remember, I read the book a long time ago when I was a lot younger. I haven't read it since, so I can't sit there and say if the book did it this way or not. I don't remember. But essentially, in the miniseries, the kids are the ones who figure out on their own that Pennywise lives off fear. He feeds off fear. In this movie, Pennywise tells them that.
Yeah.
And that's the part where if he tells them that, I'm like, why is he telling him that?
Why would you give up your secret?
So when you get to the end of the movie, which we'll talk about in a little bit, they figured they know this now. They didn't figure it out. They know it.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, they're supposed to figure this out on their own. Like, realize, like, oh, if we don't give in to the fear, he's got no control over us. He's got no, he's got no power. But in this movie, it's just Pennywise going, y'all taste better when you're scared. I can't get you unless you're scared. And I'm like, this film suffers kind of the same problem I have with the miniseries, in which the first half is really good, the second half is kind of lackluster.
Yeah.
And with this one, and I know like this one we don't see them as adults. It is just all the kid stuff. But the film starts off so good and keeps my interest, but when it gets to that second half, it all just sort of slightly starts going downhill, where it's like nothing else in the film after that halfway point could match or top what was happening in the first half. And like the first half, like again, it's not like there was a lot of scares or anything like that, but just like the charm of the characters, the setup, all that shit was all really good and interesting and really well done. And then you get to the second half, and then especially when you get to the climax is so sloppily handled. It's a very sloppy climax to the point where it's like I'm sitting there and I'm like, I'm not sure what's going on right here. I'm not 100% sure. Like, they end up spoiler alert, but, if you knew this miniseries and you read the book, you should know this by now. They defeat it.
Yeah.
They defeat Pennywise. But in this movie, in the first movie, even though it doesn't make sense because you got the battery acid thing, you got the silver and all that shit, it doesn't really make sense, but, like, they at least explain why that shit is working. In this movie, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Because it's literally just like, here's this horrible demon thing who is apparently immortal and feeds on fear, but we can defeat it just by hitting it with a baseball bat.
Like, essentially, we're going to say we're not scared, and we're just going to beat him up.
Yeah.
Like Rodney King style.
Yeah.
We're just going to take any blunt object, and we're just going to start wrecking this fucking clown. And that's what it is. And then the whole part is like, this is where I'm talking about, this is where some of the worst of the CGI comes in.
Yeah.
This is where a lot of the shitty camera angles come in. The editing isn't that good. It's all just very sloppy. It's not very well handled. Like the whole
you definitely could. So, I mean, we have some complaints, and like I said, most of the complaints with the writing, some of the complaints with the special effects. Special effects aren't enough to ruin the movie by any means, but they could have been done better. The writing, there is some problems, which, again, I acknowledge is because there's less time, but you knew there was going to be less time. You knew it was a movie. You should have handled it better. The acting was still really solid for the most part. Even Bill Skarsgård, not going to be iconic like Tim Curry's was, but he handles it well. He does what he's supposed to do, what the movie wants him to do. And I will say that there were some moments that, made me jump, that made me, like you said, that there were moments when I was really engaged and into it and wanted to see what was going to happen. I will give it 7.
7?
Yeah.
All right. My overall thoughts of the movie is essentially that It ended up being much, much better than I had anticipated. Bill Skarsgård's performance as Pennywise ended up being much better than I anticipated. Although I will say his performance is not perfect. It's not without its flaws, but he does, I think, give an adequate job of being Pennywise. I think he does the best with what he has to work with. I think all the young actors all give fantastic performances. These are all young kids that I can see, having a future in the business. The downside of them is that most of them are essentially just defined by their one trait, and that's kind of a bummer in a way. But still, you get the camaraderie, you get the relationship with them. You feel for them. It's an R-rated Goonies when you think about it. It kind of is. It's kids during the summer on an adventure.
Yeah.
It's an R-rated.
Whereas Goonies was a very uplifting adventure, this one is more of a horrifying kind of nightmare.
Yeah,
no, you're right. The concept is kind of similar.
Yeah, the concept is, there's even a kid with asthma.
Yeah, there's a kid with asthma. There's a fat kid.
Yeah, there's a fat kid.
Like, they have to do some research and find out the history of the place, and
they just swap out the black with an Essentially it is. You think, damn, I just came up with that.
Yeah.
It really is a R-rated Goonies when you think about it. Anyway, but the young kids are good. The special effects are good to just decent. They're nothing to blow you away. The atmosphere is very good. It does very well to give you scenes where it's very unsettling and very eerie and very creepy. Unfortunately, I think there's just one too many jump scares in there for my taste. Jump scares that are just completely unnecessary should not be there. A lot of them weren't
earned either.
Yeah. But other than that, it was definitely, and then the other downside for me is that the first half is definitely much more interesting than the second half. I think the climax of the film was handled rather sloppy. I think that could have been done a lot better. But overall, the film definitely, as soon as he fucking grabs Georgie, it's got your attention.
Yeah.
And it doesn't hold any punches, and it doesn't fuck around when it comes to the R rating. And I like that, and I fucking respect that. Because this could have easily been a movie where the studio was like, make this PG-13.
Oh, yeah.
And you could have made this PG-13. But they didn't. They stuck by their guns and they made it an R-rated film.
Yeah.
It's like fucking how Dark Tower should have been an R-rated film.
It really should have.
So, overall, I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to go ahead. I'm also going to give it a 7. There's parts of me that wanted to give it an 8. And say it was a very good film, but I'll just stay with I just stay with good. It's just good. I would definitely say if you like the miniseries, if you like the book, this film does both those things justice. It's a good enough film to the point where I'll say it's worth slapping $12 down on the counter and buying a ticket for it. So to recap, 7. We both give it a recommendation and say you definitely should go check it out if you haven't already. Don't know quite what we'll be back with.
Yeah, it's been an odd few weeks, going on a month.
I mean, I know the end of this,
not even knowing whether we want to see movies.
I know, I know the end of this month we got near the end of this month we have The Kingsman.
Well, yeah,
which is a definite.
Yeah,
we're definitely going to go see that. Other than that, I really don't know. There was one movie I had no interest in, but now after I seen like the more recent trailers for it, now I have an interest in, and that's the Mother film.
Okay.
With Jennifer Lawrence and Javier Bardem, because that movie when they first showed commercials for it, I had no idea what it was about, and then like they showed the newer trailers for it, kind of more pieced together, and now it actually looks like it might be an interesting film. Again, one that I'm not 100% sure if we'll go see it, but definitely. It's a maybe. It's a we might go see that.
For the most part, if he invites me to a movie, and I'm free, I usually go. But like this is one of those things. Like I can't bring myself to care. Like nothing about any of the trailers made me care about this movie in any way.
Again, like that's how it was the first few times I saw trailers. But the more recent trailers they've been kind of thrown out there have gained my interest. So I am a little more interested in the film. Other than that, I know Lego Ninjago. Yeah, that comes out the same week Kingsman comes out. So I don't know, maybe if we have time, maybe we'll do both movies. But I definitely want to see Kingsman over Lego because I
it's one of those things
Lego fix for the year.
We might see it down the line. I feel like probably not the same week, but
probably not. But we'll see. Other than that, that's we'll just be back with whatever we see, I guess. If we happen to see something in between this and Kingsman, maybe we'll be back with a review. But other than that, it might be a little bit.
Cool.
So I'm going to leave it off with thanks for watching. Please thumbs up the video if you like it. Please subscribe to our channel if you'd like to see more film reviews. And please leave a comment and let us know what you thought of it. I don't think we'll get much hate. I'm pretty sure everyone feels about the same way as we felt. So,
they must. It won the box office for the weekend.
So until then, like I said, we'll be back with Kingsman. Maybe we'll be back with something else, but definitely the next one will definitely be Kingsman. So, until then, see you later.